What's up, guys? It's Tuesday, August 1st, and Dean and I got a brand new episode of 3 Rounds brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. They're in your corner with unlimited 5G data that will not slow you down. And I'm back for another episode of 3 Rounds with the boy, Dean Thomas. What's up, Dino? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just happy to be back, man. Ready to chop it up with my homie and kick it and get some words out there.
I hope your training camp has gone well because there's going to be a fight. I'm trying to drag you into deep waters this time.
Let's go,
I'm trying to drag you into deep waters and drown you.
I'm built for deep waters, homie.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, it's time for the fight. Me versus Dean. The trilogy starts right now.
I'm gonna show you I'm experienced.
Round 1. So Dean Thomas last week had some words to say about the challenger for the middleweight champion this weekend, Khamzat Chimaev. Dean had this to say, essentially, it would be a nightmare if Khamzat Chimaev is to become the UFC middleweight champion. Dean Thomas has some strong opinions lately. Dean, I'm going to give you the floor right now to correct yourself. I'm going to give you an opportunity, Dean Thomas, to get it right. Because right now, you're walking around with your foot in your mouth. I'm giving you a chance to walk it back, Dean.
I am not going to walk this back. In fact, I'm going to double down and just clarify it because I think everybody missed the point of what I was trying to make. I was saying that if Khamzat Chimaev becomes champion, it's going to be a disaster because he is going to hold the division up. He doesn't fight enough. This is a man who averages like one fight a year, and he's not even a champion yet.
Okay. I get what you're saying in that regard. But I took it as Hamzat before there were rumors that he couldn't get into the country, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Hamzat got visa issues, can't get into the United States. That's why Chael and them did that video a while back where Chael's like, but Hamzat's going to fight in Chicago, but he can't get into America. And Hamzat is next to his manager. The camera pans to him, showing he was already here. He's here now, Dean. If that was an issue prior to where he couldn't get into the country, clearly he's able to get into the country now. I feel like that played a part into the limited schedule. So now it seems like everything's on the table so he can be more active. And I know the guy loves to fight because, Dean, to counter your point, this is a guy that fought 2 times in a week on Fight Island, fought 3 times in the first 4 months of his career when he can get back into the United States. So here you go. I tried to let you walk it back. Now I had to correct you myself.
Yeah, but the UFC didn't do fights in the US. There's been fights in Abu Dhabi. There's been fights in other countries in which he could have fought, but he still chose to only fight once a year. And when you only fight once a year, if you're the champion, imagine how infrequent he's going to fight. You know who gets held up by that? Guys like Imavov, guys like Kyle Bahayo, guys like Rainer de Ritter. All those guys have to suffer and take stupid fights or interim championships because the champion doesn't fight. That's what I'm saying. If he's going to be champion, all I want him to do is to fight more.
No, I understand. But again, I only believe, and I'm only basing this in fact, Dino. I'm basing it in the fact that, let me look at this. I'm going to look at this right now in terms of Khamzat Chimaev. I believe that he was very active in the very beginning of his career.
In the beginning,
I believe, but Dean, when he was fighting in Abu Dhabi, that's when they had fights. In 2020, when he made his debut, he fought against Reese McKee and Mir Sharp. He also fought that kid, John Phillips, on Fight Island. In 21, when he could fight, he fought Li Jingliang, was scheduled to fight Leon Edwards. 22, he fought Gilbert Burns.
Wait a minute. He was scheduled to fight Leon. Why didn't he fight Leon?
Leon got hurt, didn't he? Wasn't it Leon that got hurt?
I don't know. It could have been Leon. I'm not saying it was his fault, but I'm just saying he's had a history of not being all that reliable and showing up and not fighting all that much.
Well, he hadn't been that active recently. But if we go back and we look at what he was, at least 2 fights a year, I mean, I think that's what champions are averaging. Champions are averaging 2 fights a year. If he's in line with that, you can't have a problem with Khamzat Chimaev. I thought you were just talking about the visa issue. That would have been a stronger argument for me instead of saying, well, the guy's inactive.
I'm saying he's inactive. Regardless of the situation, he's inactive. And it just turns out that Hamzat actually did pull out of the Leon fight due to
Well, it was him.
coronavirus. Now, I'm not saying
Dude, he almost died. He was on a hospital bed, almost died.
I know. That's not the point, though. The point is he's still inactive. The point is he's still inactive.
But Dean, he was sick, almost dying. They said that's when they said he was training so hard that he was making himself sick.
He still has a history of not fighting.
Dean, you're on that shit, boy. You come with the shits today. You come with it and you tripping. Because if a man is on his deathbed, we saw the photos of Khamzat Chimaev struggling. I believe that if he is to become champion, he would be back in line with what he was prior. But I would not be so quick to write off the champ, Dricus Du Plessis. We know what that has gotten everybody to this point. This guy has title defense after title defense. Chicago's going to be fun.
I'm gonna show you how
I just got off the stool. Coach is like, yo, DC, that was a good round. That's one us. That's one us, Coach. Coach, that was a good round, Coach.
It's a good round.
That was a good round. Okay.
Getting warmed up.
Dino, Khabib Nurmagomedov, when this man talks, people listens. I don't know if anyone has had more of a lasting impact in a very long time. So Khabib does these things where it's a bit of a night with Khabib, where you get to go, you sit in an audience, and he fields questions from a moderator. Every time this man talks, Conor McGregor will be brought up. Well, Conor McGregor was brought up the other day when Khabib was having his sit down in this conversation. When he was asked about Conor, Khabib talked about the impact that Conor could have and how he's missing opportunities to do better. Khabib said, I think he has a chance to come back. He has to change his life, though. Why am I talking about this? If he's going to change, it could change with him so many other lives, too. That's why I wish him to change himself. If he's not going to change, it will be punishment for the rest of his life. So I think he's talking about how Conor keeps running into issues. That's his punishments. What do you make of Khabib's statements about Conor McGregor?
Well, first, I want to address what you said earlier about his impact, Khabib's impact, because when most people retire, they fade away into obscurity. And not many people have had a career like a post-fight career like Khabib has had, and he's still not with the UFC. Like, I'm fortunate enough to still be in the UFC, to still have a platform. Most people fade into obscurity. No one has been able to leverage their notoriety like Khabib has had. So when he speaks, I even listen. I mean, he is the absolute man in terms of this. Now, what he's saying about Conor McGregor is real shit. I love what he's saying because he understands the impact that Conor has. He understands that Conor still has a platform that people listen. And he wants Conor to do better, not only for Conor, but for all the people that Conor speak to. So I give Khabib a lot of credit for burying the hatchet in a way to say, hey, listen, get your life right, man, because you still have a platform. Speak to your people.
Is there a point in your life, because he also spoke about Muhammad Ali, right? We all know that Khabib is a proud Muslim, and Muhammad Ali was also. And Muhammad Ali impacted people positively in so many ways, not only Americans, but people around the world, not only Muslims, but just people. Khabib made it a point to say, this guy could have some sort of impact in that way. Mayweather also, he spoke about Mayweather, he spoke about Conor. How about how those guys could have more of an impact on people in the world? When you see that, knowing the bad blood that those guys have, Dino, how in the world can we not sit back and say, for him to even let aside the rivalry for that moment is hard. He would not even speak his name. So you know he does not like Conor McGregor. But still, to want to get the message out that life is better and life is more important than what we do, and we have to take the platform to elevate, that's massive. That's massive. But he also did this. He also said to everyone, Islam's fighting against Jack Della at Madison Square Garden. Ali was shaking like, oh, please. Khabib goes, I don't have a deal with the UFC. You do. I'm going to announce this myself. What do you make of that?
That's crazy.
Right? He does have a freedom to kind of just do whatever he wants.
And that's crazy, too, because no one else can do that. Like, if you are attached to the UFC under the payroll in some sort, you can't just announce fights this way. Like, that is the biggest
announcer fights.
Yeah, that is the biggest no-no to the UFC. Don't announce fights. But Khabib has such star power that he can get away with this. And it comes from a credible source. I ain't dogging your man Chael. I love Chael, but if Chael told me that fight was happening, I wouldn't believe it. But the fact
Chael
that
announced
Khabib said
John
it,
Jones, Tom Aspinall. He announced John Jones, Tom Aspinall one time. He said they had a
really,
date for that, Chael.
remember? He did. But the fact that
But
Khabib announced it, man, I ride with that.
no, it was great. It was great. I think that for me, the bigger thing that spoke to me was the fact that he was essentially ready to look past the bad to give a critique on how you can improve. But you even see in the quote, why am I talking about this? Because I don't know that he believes that Conor McGregor is going to change.
I don't think he believes he's going to change. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, no, I think it's all at this point, it's all I don't know, man. It's just news. And honestly, it's just him trying to stay in the news whenever we do stuff about him, and it just doesn't hit anymore. That's why we're talking about Khabib, a guy who is trying to tell him, hey, man, get right because you still have so many that you can impact. All right, guys. Hey, it's the boy DC, your favorite podcaster and also a role partner. And of course, fellas, when you're in or you're out of the bedroom with your partner or that significant other, you have got to satisfy their needs as you try to satisfy your needs. It's so important. Hey, the one thing about Ro, when you're in the bedroom, our guys at Ro Sparks, they got your back. With his long-lasting functionality, Ro Sparks are a 2-in-1 prescription treatment for guys who want more controlled erections. And it doesn't take long either, because after they dissolve, they work in about 15 minutes on average. Ro connects guys with medical providers 100% online. So you don't have to waste time in the waiting room. And if approved, treatment ships directly to your door. For me, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Ro is a must-have, guys. Trust me. New sex health patients get $15 off of their first order of Ro Sparks on the recurring plan. So connect with a provider at RODOTCO/DCTV. Ro.co/DCTV to find out if prescription Ro Sparks is right for you. Guys, that's RODOTCO/DCTV for $15 off of your first order. Hey, get them Ro Sparks. I'm telling you, they work.
I'm gonna show you how I'm
Round 3, Dean. So, Dean, there's a UFC lawsuit that got settled for millions and millions of dollars. So many fighters from a certain time in the UFC, I think it was 11 to 17, had the opportunity to get, hey, you know what they say, reparations. Hey, you get your reparations, like the black people be saying, I want my reparations. One person that said he's not doing this is Renato Moicano. And Matt Brown was very hard on him. Matt Brown said that he's a moron for not taking the money, as I look it up. And Brendan Schaub was very hard on him. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think he's crazy for not taking the money. But from what I understand is that the money that's left over from people who didn't take it gets kind of repurposed and back and spread back out to the other fighters. So if that's the case, hey, man, listen, more power to the other fighters that Moicano didn't take the money. Me personally, I don't give a shit about any of that because I ain't getting no check. And I was fighting in the UFC before all these dudes, and I ain't getting no check.
Matt Brown said, I question whether it's not a true. I think Moicano may be saying that in public, but I don't know if that's truly the case. There's very few people that haven't signed up to get their money. I doubt that he's one of them, to be honest. It doesn't make him look better saying it. I don't think anybody's like, wow, bro, you're being brand loyal. Good for you. No, everybody's saying you're an expletive idiot for this. Brendan Schaub also said that the UFC would not look at him and go, oh my goodness, this dude is so cool. He's not taking the money. Moicano then said, Hunter called me and told me to take the effing money, but I told him, it's not about you, brother. I don't care what you or Dana White think. I care about what I believe in. I don't hate the UFC. I just believe in doing the right thing. That's why I said no. As a person that is in that thing, and I was like at the very end because I didn't really pay attention to the money as much as I probably should.
Right.
Because I was fighting at that time. They called me and told me, DC, take the money. Go get the money. The money's getting paid out regardless.
Right.
The money is going to be paid out. So they rather it go to the fighters.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes either to the rest of the fighters or into the attorneys. So yeah, they were saying to take the money. Here's why I'm not as hard on Moicano as many. He said, I signed a deal back then knowing what I was getting. That should not change because of timing or the amount of money the company made. That's the only thing I agree with him on. I don't agree with him saying, no, I'm not going to take this money. 200 grand in Florida, you could buy him a new house.
Hell yeah.
With that money.
Hell yeah. No, he's right about that. And that's one thing that a lot of people forget. And it's kind of unfair to the UFC that all these guys can cherry pick on the success of the UFC because of that. Because all these other organizations, they was fighting just as hard, and the other organizations that ain't do shit, but you can't go back and sue them because they not as successful as the UFC. So Moicano is right about that. The fact that when you signed that deal, you was probably really fucking happy with that deal.
And broke.
And broke.
You would have probably signed that. You would have signed that deal for nothing.
Yeah.
You were broke back then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I agree with him on that. But still, Moicano, take the money, man. You do deserve it.
If Hunter Campbell's calling him and saying, hey, take the money, dude. Do it. Or Dana's calling him saying, take the money, dude. There's not going to be any bad blood for it. Dude, I got to be honest. When the GFL was doing all that, and Dana was like, did they call you? I was like, nah, they didn't call me. He was like, I would have told you, take the money if they called you. Because the dude's always like, yo, get your money. He always says that. He was like, I would have told you to take the money if they called you.
The UFC understands it's all business. Like, they trying to make money. They want you to make money. That's just the way it is. Moicano is a bit crazy for not taking the money, but he stands on his morals, and I got respect for him for that, no matter what.
Especially when he's a smart guy financially. He's not a dumb guy. He takes his post-fight press conferences, and he talks about crypto, and he talks about Bitcoin, and he talks about investments. This dude is not stupid. So I don't know that he's doing this from a not smart position. I think he's doing this because I think he truly believes that this is what he should do. And I imagine at this point in his life, in his career, he's doing relatively well. I would just tell him that when it stops, unless your podcast becomes unbelievable, you'll look back and go, man, I could have probably used $200,000 extra dollars. And now for my final thought. Guys, a couple weeks ago, Hulk Hogan passed away. And I was watching some of the reactions from people, and I was a bit like surprised because I didn't know how separated people were on Hulk Hogan. I had a group message with a group of friends that were so sad that Hogan died. I had a separate group message that spoke about how his time had long been coming and it was far too long that he was still here. That just tells you how much and how careful you need to be when you're talking to people and how open you need to be in this world today, because this Hulk Hogan had done 30 years of charity work. Hulk Hogan had done 30 years of Make-A-Wish. He had done a lot of great things. He was those guys, heroes as a child. But in one moment or two moments or three moments, he threw it all away. So now this guy leaves this earth as a guy that cannot be remembered by a certain segment of people as the Hulkster, the one that elicited such great and strong emotions out of you as a child. He leaves out a guy that group of friends think was absolutely racist, while the other group of friends still kind of feels this is the Hulk Hogan that we knew from before, and all sins are forgiven because he is no longer with us. It's an insane thing to think that a man had that much of an impact negatively and offensively at the same exact time. So make sure you're watching yourself and don't have ill intent in any situation. Hell, his daughter just said, take him out of his will. That's how much she took offense to the things that her father said way back in the day. It's unbelievable, Dino. It's unbelievable how quickly things can change. Dean, thank you again for joining, man. I appreciate you as always. I will see you in Vegas this week at the UFC Fight Night, my brother.
All right, my man. Appreciate you as always. And that last speech was beautiful.
Thank you, Dino. You're the man. Guys, Until next time, like, subscribe, and tell your friends I got a YouTube channel. We're doing 3 rounds and so much more at Daniel Cormier TV. Until next time, peace.